Welcome to another episode of From Startup to Wunderbrand with Nicholas Kuhner. Jake Isaacs, finally. Bigger than life, here we are. Jake Isaacs, an entrepreneur, business strategist, and co-founder of Gathering the Kings, a high-level mastermind community for elite business owners. With a passion for leadership, networking, and scaling businesses to 7 and 8 figures, Jake helps entrepreneurs break through barriers, build powerful relationships, and achieve success beyond the grind. Jake, welcome.
Nicholas, thank you so much. I've been looking forward to this conversation for a couple of months now.
It has been a couple of months. We just keep putting it off. And, life happens, right?
That's right. It's just funny, business and life just kind of has a way of throwing wrenches into the schedule. And I appreciate your patience and excited to connect with you here today.
And what's quite interesting is that you're in the business of making sure that businesses succeed, that they grow, that entrepreneurs live their best lives, have great relationships and so on. And you've been through the ringer. And what I really love, and I've spoken to some folks about this, I'd rather have a psychologist who's had a couple of bangs and knocks and, has taken drugs and been through the ringer than somebody who's come straight out of university and says, tell me how that makes you feel.
Exactly.
All right. Now, we had a little chat before this call, and I think it's quite an important point. We spoke about there are a lot of people who want to be visionaries, lots of entrepreneurs. There are a lot of folks out there with fantastic ideas. And similar to me, I never call myself a visionary. So if I do, please shoot me immediately. But I'm an ideas person, and I've got ideas that could choke a camel, basically. But the problem is, ideas are great, but what you need people who are actually able to take an idea and a concept and actually make it work. And I believe that's where you come in. Maybe talk to me about a little bit about your background of being a serial integrator. And you need to explain what the hell is a serial integrator and why do we need one?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. The phrase serial integrator was coined by my business partner, actually, who calls himself a serial entrepreneur. He's got multiple businesses and a ton of different industries. And when he and I partnered together with Gathering the Kings, he was trying to find a way to introduce me from stages. And he came up with this phrase, serial integrator. And Nicholas, essentially what that means is I've been the right-hand man or the number 2 for a lot of different businesses throughout my career, working with other entrepreneurs to help them bring their vision to life. The phrase visionary or integrator is ripped off directly from Gino Wickman in his book Traction. Gino Wickman is the founder of the entrepreneurial operating system, which is just kind of a way to do business. And in that book, Gino says that for every one visionary or CEO or entrepreneur, whatever phrase you want to use there's only one integrator, which is the doer, to every 4 visionaries that are out there. And so, although to your point, it's necessary to have someone like me, an integrator in the business, it's actually kind of hard to find the right person.
Absolutely. And I think anyone out there who has great ideas needs that support. And very often it seems like you play second fiddle. So let's maybe talk a little bit about how that makes you feel in terms of you're not the visionary, but you're the guy who actually gets things done. What enjoyment and what fulfillment do you get out of doing this particular role? Because I think people perhaps think that maybe, well, you're the doer, not the thinker. So maybe talk to me a little bit about how your role works and how it feeds you.
Yeah, it's a great question because so often in our social media society, I feel like you need to have all of the eyeballs and all of the attention to have any type of value. Fortunately for me, I'm just not wired that way. I understand that I get my value on accomplishments, not on likes and clicks. And so for me, being able to take someone's idea and make that come to fruition, to actually bring a product to market or to actually turn around a business and see positive results in the bottom line of the P&L, those are the things where I feel fulfillment through building teams and developing leaders, not through being on stages and in front of a large crowd.
Well, I think there's that old saying that goes, behind every successful man is a strong woman, but I think behind every successful business is a strong integrator. Would you agree with that?
Definitely. You know, the Wozniaks, the Paul Allens, the man behind the man that actually makes the machine run on time. Those are the people that are actually getting the jobs done.
Now, tell me a little bit about gathering the kings, because one of the things that struck me on this was the importance of being around like-minded people, or the community of people that you surround yourself with. And I think especially for young entrepreneurs or for people with children, the people that you surround yourself with is very important. Talk to me a little bit about the background of gathering the kings, and with a specific focus on being around people with a similar mindset or people who can lift you up.
Yeah. We've all heard the old adage that your network is your net worth, or we've heard the example of crabs in a bucket pulling each other down, and that's how they stay captive. Napoleon Hill, when he wrote Think and Grow Rich, actually coined the phrase mastermind in that book. And when we were evaluating how we wanted to build Gathering the Kings, we knew we wanted to build a true mastermind community, which, in the definition, according to Napoleon Hill, is where two or more like minded people come together in harmony to accomplish great things. And so often in the marketplace today, people have talked about a mastermind, but it's actually a group coaching program, which, Nicholas, I think there is definitely a place for group coaching and it's really important, but it's not what a true mastermind community is. And we just wanted to find other like minded entrepreneurs, people that were focused on success, but also down to earth enough to understand that true success is measured in how we show up at home for our families, how we engage with our communities, what type of physical fitness and physical health that we have, along with the commas in the bank account. And so we just found people from all different types of industries, regardless of the widget or the service that they do, that kind of think that way, and put them in a room together. And for the last 3.5 years, now have been just networking people from all across the United States and a couple other countries in the world to grow in life together, to live life together. It's a fellowship, is what it is.
If only they had somebody who had a background in hospitality who could put all these things together. I mean, this, and that goes a bit into your background. I mean, you know how to manage complicated arrangements and herd cats basically. So this is right in your wheelhouse. I had the pleasure of going and presenting a keynote at the YPO, which is the Young Presidents Organization in Mauritius. And that was my first experience of something similar to Gathering the Kings, where it was a family affair. It was people who are in a growth mindset or trying to build legacy businesses, legacy in terms of it's a family run business and you need the next generation to take over, or you need to find folks who are interested, who I've got the same mindset, who might be able to invest or help you, expand your thinking and so on. Maybe talk to me about one or two successes, if you can. You don't have to name names, but of folks who've come to Gathering the Kings and have actually achieved what Gathering the Kings set out to do.
Yeah. Thank you. One of the things that we talk about is leaving a legacy is important, but so often people get confused with legacy being the things that we leave the next generation. And the things, the money, the assets, the accumulation of wealth, all of those things are great. But if you're not present at home to leave the education and teach the lessons of the stewardship of those assets, then are you really leaving a legacy? And so when we talk about, the importance of being present at home inside of Gathering the Kings, it's how can we take this concept of being obsessed in growth in business and focus that obsession to our home lives, our families, our relationships, our marriages, on top of just being a good CEO or being present inside of the boardroom. So you asked for specific examples. One of our clients, he's been with us for about 3 years now. He is in central Kansas, and runs a landscaping business, ex-army medic, just a super good dude. And Derek just became obsessed with being more present for his three little girls and his wife. He was actually able to bring his wife into the business. He opened up a greenhouse where she could use her degree to start building a lawn and garden retail center for their landscaping company. And he started running. He stopped smoking. He stopped drinking energy drinks. And you know, a year after starting to focus on his health, he's now running ultra marathons. He just finished a 100-mile race up in the mountains of Utah a couple of weeks ago. And he's just found a way to be able to be an amazing business owner. Oh, by the way, he's added $2 million to the top line of his landscaping company. And he is, taking weeks off at a time to go run these races all across the country with his daughters and wife in tow. And it's just really cool to see the family rally around this new passion of his that he's developed. And it's a lot of fun to watch.
I'm glad you mentioned the $2 million, because if you just mentioned that he just started running marathons, I would run a mile away from Gathering the Kings, because that's definitely
right.
Yeah, but I get the picture. So it's basically an all round, you're managing the all round person. But I want to go to a slightly more complicated subject now, which is balancing family and business. This is quite a tough thing. And it means sacrifices on both ends, right? Because if you want to run a successful business, you need to put 100% effort into that business. If you want a successful family, you need to put a lot of effort. You've got to give up meetings. You've got to give up going on business trips, etc., to go and see your kid miss a couple of balls at baseball. Have you got any examples of the steps that you go through for folks to get that good balance? Because even I struggle with that, because I could theoretically be doing podcasts 24 hours a day. I could be traveling 3 months out of the year, see my wife, wave to her at the boarding gate, and, see videos of my kids' baseball and be a very successful businessman and make lots of money, and be very successful, or be slightly less successful and go and see my kids' baseball. So, what's better? Having a good family life, having a big, strong business? How do you manage that conflict of, well, I'm spending more time with my family than I should, because my business is, could do much better. Are these some of the discussions that happen at Gathering the Kings?
Yes. And I love that you use the word conflict, because I think that is a visceral emotion that most of the listeners can relate to. The 18, 19-hour days trying to get your business off of the ground and missing some of those family events and family activities. I had the fortune, Nicholas, of growing up in a home where my dad was just very, very good at what he did. He was uber successful, but that success came at a cost, and that cost looked like him traveling 300 days a year. And so I grew up in this household where my idea of success was immense effort, and he established a work ethic for my brother and I that is second to none. The problem with that is, as an adult, I didn't know how to be present in other aspects of my life. And it actually cost me 2 different marriages, Nicholas. And so I'm twice divorced. And so I'm very passionate about this topic that we're talking about now, because there is another way. You don't need to put all of your time, effort, and energy into one thing and sacrifice the other. You use the word balance, and that is a very buzzy phrase right now. This concept of work-life balance is a popular concept for authors and articlists to write about. But the reality of the situation is it's kind of offensive, right? Because what balance means is that I have to take from one thing in order to give it to another. And I just believe that you can be obsessed with being successful in business and be obsessed with being successful at home. And both of those things can happen at the same time. I know that it's possible because I'm watching my business partner do this in real time. He is a husband to his high school sweetheart. They have 4 beautiful children, and he is crushing it in all aspects of life and business. And so we are opposite sides of the coin. He's done it right, and it hasn't come without its own bumps and bruises, but he's done it right, and I've done it wrong. And it also hasn't come without its own bumps and bruises. And so we've been able to talk about that from two different perspectives. Tactically, it means that you just have to be more intentional. Time is the most precious commodity. And, I'm not trying to be cliche when I say that, but it is perishable. You can't take 2 hours from today and add it on to tomorrow, unfortunately. And so when these 24 hours are over, Nicholas, they're over. I can't get them back. And so you just need to be intentional about how you're scheduling your time and how you're scheduling your day with a view of the bigger picture of what you're trying to accomplish. So often as business owners, we get caught up in this idea that we're going to be reactionary to the problems of today, and we allow those problems to control our actions and our effort of the day, as opposed to going in with a plan, being intentional, and sticking to that plan. We find that most people love the endorphin rush that comes from being the problem solver inside of their businesses and inside of their families. And so they constantly are putting themselves in this environment where they're the go-to person to solve problems. You alluded earlier to my past career in hospitality. I was a fixer for Marriott and Hilton, the hotel chains, for about 10 years. But what that meant was I was also on call for 10 years in a row, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, because my businesses never shut down. Those hotels never shut down. And so I had to be available to answer all of the problems all of the time. Nicholas, that's exhausting. Like, as a young man, that sounds cool. That's not cool. Like, I remember when I left hospitality and I was able to turn my phone off for the first time at night in 10 years. I woke up sweating in the middle of the night, afraid that I was missing a call, right? So you could be intentional with how you set your day out, right? And that's going to lead to being able to be successful in business, in health, in community, and at home with your family.
Well, I love it that you talk about the falsehood of balance, because I think that is a phrase that has been used and has tricked people into thinking in an incorrect way. But I live in Norway, so we have fabulous work-life balance here. So I'm not going to, I can't tell you guys in America what to do. But it does sound, Jake, like you need a serial integrator in your life as well. So that's something, maybe.
It's true.
But your point about having done that role for 10 years and waking up sweating the next day, that must have been quite a strange sensation. And it is a change in mindset, change in behaviors. And since you had such a big cultural shift almost or behavioral shift, that must have had quite an impact on you. So it's like somebody coming back from war where there are bombs going around every day and then coming home, and then there's nothing to deal with. How did you manage? What was your process of in those first couple of weeks or those first couple of months of changing your mindset?
Yeah, great question. I actually failed at it. I immediately went and found a job inside of the nonprofit sector running a missionary organization that was helping to take children out of our ICE and DCS detention centers, which are, where children would be taken after they were trying to immigrate to the United States. And so I immediately found myself in this organization where I was back on call again at night, trying to help out with the transportation of children. So I failed. I miserably failed at it. It was like that drug that I couldn't get a fix from. So I went and found a different drug so I could get that high. Terrible. It was terrible. I have since then been able to let all of that go, Nicholas. I'm very proud to say that, in fact, the pendulum has swung to the opposite end of the spectrum. And I've got like all of my do not disturb notifications that come on at 9 p.m. And you essentially can't get a hold of me past 9 in the evening until 8 in the morning, because I just realized that that's my time, right? That's my time to read. That's my time to work out. That's my time to meditate and get to know myself better. And I don't need to worry about someone else needing to get a hold of me, because that's not what the plan for that part of my life is. The plan is to be present with myself. You know, I heard a quote once that your email box, your inbox is someone else's priority on your life. And it's really true. And the same thing goes with the cell phone. It's awesome that we have the technology at our fingertips that we do, but it's also an electronic leash that is someone else's priority of what your day to day looks like.
Jake, you're probably around my age, and you probably remember when Blackberries first came into our lives. Was that
Yep.
not the greatest horror? It was exciting when we first got it. I can get hold of somebody anytime I want.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the problem. And that little
Yep.
red light was like, I still see it sometimes in my nightmares of my boss messaging me at 12 o'clock at night, expecting a response because he got me a fancy BlackBerry. So it's very difficult getting out that mindset. And the youngsters will never know these things of that little red flashing light. So you've mentioned that you've got a little bit more work balance now. Are you still coaching basketball, baseball? What are you doing now in your the little bit of spare time that you have? What is, and I know you like the outdoors as well. So what keeps you going outside of creating amazing events like your Gathering the Kings events? I've seen some videos that look fantastic.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I am like the cool uncle. I am super Uncle Jake. In fact, my two nieces, my nickname is Junks, which is their hybrid for Uncle Jake. I can't make it make sense, Nicholas, but that's what they call me. And so my free time is spent being a cool uncle, not only to my two nieces, but to my business partner's four kids. And I just try to be present for the people that are around me, my family, and the people that I love and care for. You know, there's the family that you're born into, and then there's the family that you choose. And I'm very fortunate to have an amazing family that I choose.
Now, you're also the co-host of Driven to Win, which is a podcast, which is a global 1.5% show. So that's something I'm aiming at as well. So that must take some time and effort as well. So I'm gonna stick a link in the description for that as well. But Jake, if I want to send folks, and I just want to, and maybe we should just say, who is Gathering the Kings for? Because this is not for Silicon Valley multi-gazillionaires and for people who have come from generational wealth necessarily. This is for people who are making their start in life and have had some success, but now want to take that forward. Maybe let's just talk about who the target market is, and let's make sure that those folks get in touch with you.
I appreciate that. The filter that we use for Gathering the Kings, Nicholas, is this phrase, grateful but not done. And what that means is we want to find people that are thankful for what they've been able to accomplish up to this point in their life, but realize that there's another level. There's always another plateau to reach. There's always more path to climb. And that by being around people that are in pursuit of 1% better, they realize that their life can continue to improve. And so it doesn't matter if you are a roofer or a financial analyst or the owner of a retail bike store. We want to talk to you about what you're doing in life and how community inside of Gathering the Kings can help you improve those areas of your life that are the most important to you.
And those are all cool and relatable people. So I'm sure there's some lifelong friendships that are made in these groups as well. So I'd encourage everyone to think about if your business is getting to a stage where you want to take it to the next level or want to see what successful people do once they've got money or once their businesses grow. Gathering the Kings is a fantastic spot for that. Jake, the last thing I wanted to touch on, you mentioned thankfulness or being thankful, and every night I say my prayers with my boys, and we say thank you, Jesus, for a wonderful day. And it is about saying thank you. None of this is necessarily all based on our own hard work and our gigantic geniuses. It is about that community and that fellowship that you mentioned. So that will be my takeaway for today: is just be thankful and look at the beautiful things along the road and say, wow, that's nice. I'm going to put the links. It's gatheringthekings.com. That's the website. And there's some nice information over there with all working links for the social media that you folks can go and look at. So, Jake, wonderful chatting to you.
Nicholas, thank you for your time, sir. I appreciate it.
I really do appreciate your comments. So why not go and watch this live on YouTube or go to my website, kuhne.no. That's KUHNE.no for more information.